Hi there. Welcome to Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. My name is Hetty, the entrepreneur, and I am your host for today. However, as always, I am not flying this plane on my own. I do have my co-pilot with me. Papa Biz, how was it?
Papa Biz here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be epic.
Yes, it's going to be a really fantastic conversation. Today we are in conversation with Justice Tshabalala, who is an entrepreneur and a sensational podcaster, and he's also the face behind a lot of the most popular podcasts that you know and love. We are going to unpack the mind behind this genius entrepreneur. Justice, welcome. How are you today?
Hi, Hetty. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Pops?
Good to have you here, Justice. Nice one.
I just want to say you guys look absolutely stunning.
I know we knew you were coming. I mean, come on.
We had no choice.
We knew that you were coming. I mean, what are you saying? This guy.
You guys look absolutely stunning. I always, every time when I watch you guys' videos, you guys look amazing. You guys are a couple looking amazing at all times. We actually inspire me. Pops, we need to find a way to, get a pair for myself and my wife.
Very good. Very good. We receive your kind words.
I love that. And my
receive
wife, he's a newlywed. So
and my wife. It's nice, eh? And my wife.
Today, Justice, you're the one where the interview questions are being thrown at you, which is quite different from what you're accustomed to. So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. 100%.
Fantastic. Yeah. Before we get into the nitty-gritties of what you do, we really love to start with just getting to know the person a little bit better. Who is Justice? Where did you grow up? Just kind of like your early context for us to understand you a bit better.
Yeah. So my name is Justice Tshabalala, all the way from Hammanskraal, but based in Johannesburg. The south, actually. Look, I grew up in a family whereby, it was just a mixed family whereby my dad was a Mozambican, my mom is a South African. My dad actually passed away 5 years ago, by the way. So it was Tsonga family, taxi business, just a normal family, decent family. Nothing a lot was happening. It was just a normal South African family, in Hammanskraal. But I always grew up as a person who's always been a bit quiet, second born with two siblings. I'm the only son, by the way. We had last born who was a son who passed away when I was still young.
Sure.
I wish he was still here, but it is what it is. Obviously, the normal South African story. My mom and my dad divorced, and they had to separate, and then I had to continue 20 years being raised by a single mom. So it's so. Yeah.
Was it your dad who ran the taxi business at home?
Yes, so it was my dad.
Okay, yeah. I see.
Yeah, so my dad, what he did is that he used to work at the mines. So he had a brother that came in from Mozambique, and then they put together some money and bought the first taxi. And then because of their brothers, back in the days, it's not like now, but back in the days, brothers, they used to support each other so much.
Yes.
So the brother was like, okay, since I bought myself a taxi, let me buy you a taxi.
Oh, wow.
So they went into the taxi business. At the time, it was not difficult, because now I think if you had to put your taxi on the line, I think you have to pay almost 50,000, depending on the township.
Oh, that's a lot.
So it's not like you have to buy a taxi and just put it on the line, and then it can take people from Tembisa to town. So you have to pay a certain fee. So back in the day, it wasn't really so much. It was so easy to get into the line. And then, my dad bought the first taxi and then bought another taxi and then so forth. I think he had like 5 to 6 taxis.
Sure.
That's impressive.
That's quite a bit,
yeah.
eh?
Yeah.
And what was it like growing up in Hammanskraal?
Growing up in Hammanskraal, it was not so easy because it's a rural area, It's not like the townships in Johannesburg, whereby the city is just by the corner,
True.
It was
further out a bit.
100%, it was not easy, even the way we speak, go Pitori, Rebolela Pitori. I mean, like, sorry for exposing you guys, because you guys are from PTA.
Listen to this guy.
So Rebolela Pitori, so Rebolela Pitori, it was not so difficult, it was just so easy. I think one of the greatest things that we used to share up is that we are just next to the zoo. So, and the union buildings as well.
Yes.
Even though there's like the nicer part of Pretoria, there's a what is this other place next to Hammanskraal? where there's like animals and lodges and stuff like that. So we
Yes.
share that.
inside.
Dinoken, thank you so much, Paps.
That's a beautiful area.
So
I
that's
love it.
so we would literally at some point. This is a crazy story actually. At some point in Hammanskraal, we would hear that there's a lion that smuggled out.
What
So
are you
we
saying?
That escaped.
yeah. So we must
Wow.
always like look out, you know. And then there would be stories that people would bump into a lion, monkeys, and stuff like that. So it's been great growing up in Hammanskraal.
Tell me something. What is it like to be the only boy among sisters?
It's very difficult because, to be honest with you, it's difficult at the same time. It's amazing. Like I said, at some point my mom was alone, and it was the four of us. I was the only son, so I got to find a way to adjust living with women. And at some point, I couldn't really understand because my dad was not there to explain to me that no, if a woman is behaving like this, you need to calm down. You know, you need to understand that this is what's happening. So. There was a lot of fights, you know, but I had to find a way. The greatest thing I think that I would give prompts to my mother is that he was able to raise up a man. So I'm the man that I am today because of my mother, which is
look
great.
at that.
So yeah, but it was amazing. It was amazing.
What's the age gap with the sisters?
My sister is 4 years older than me, and then my older sister is 4 years older than me. My younger sister is I think 5 years.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Okay. And then what were you like at school?
At school, I used to be somebody who loves IT so much.
Oh,
you
really?
know? Yeah. So I went ahead in high school. I used to go into the labs. Like I said, Hammanskraal is a small town. It's big now, but we used to have like a computer lab. So I used to go into the computer labs and just play around with the internet. At the time, the internet was not so big. So they used to teach us how to use the word,
Yes.
how this is a mouse, this is a keyboard, this is a screen, and in the township it's not so safe. So the computers at the township, they had to put them by the wall so that people don't take them out.
Really?
So I used to be that kind of a person. At grade 12, I had to, so they voted for me in my class, grade 12, to become the head boy.
Oh wow, okay.
So I was the president
Oh wow.
at my school, which was very challenging. Yeah, but I'll talk to you about that later on.
I know you and I we same WhatsApp group. That was our life, my friend.
Yeah. So it was amazing. A bit of challenges there and there. I got to learn a couple of things, But yeah, it was fun, man. It was amazing.
What did you? Just 1 second. If you look back, what did you learn from that year? Perhaps that was different from the rest of high school. Because I remember when I was at Kimberley Boys High.
Yeah.
So I was deputy. My brother ended up being head boy. My sister was also deputy. She was at Girls High School. And that year, you get the feeling, okay, it's great. Your peers recognize you, as a leader and things like that. But I found it actually shaped a lot, that experience for me, because I got to understand that I got the most done by leading, but just behind. It was something that I got to understand during that year and that process, that if I wanted to achieve something, I could do that leading, but just behind like another person. So what did you experience or learn from that year?
You speak about leading, leadership, basically. I just want to talk about church quickly. So at church, I used to play keyboard. So I used to be like a music director. So you are the person that actually lead how the song should be played, how the worship team should play the drummers. You must always try to communicate with somebody, right? And I didn't understand that. So it's only now that I understand that, that was the introduction of leadership to me.
Okay.
And then going to school, when I was voted the head boy, and I became the head boy, first time I had to give a speech instead of my classmates where there's like 30 people. Now I had to give a speech in front of 200 people, that was a big challenge. But I really learned so much about leading because I had to find a way to balance schoolwork and also the other side of being the head boy. Because now I had to organize like school trips, metric dens, and also have meetings with the SGB,
Yes,
school governing body, so I had to find a way to balance. And when I look now, I see that, oh, snap, this is actually where this thing was heading to. So God was literally training me back then when I was young, that this is the person that you're going to become. So now today as an entrepreneur, I need to find a way to have, go to all of these meetings. At the same time, I need to, have shoots, because I'm a videographer. I shoot, I edit, So just to have a little bit of a balance. Also, I've got a staff, so I need to also manage them. And not only manage them, but also manage myself.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's actually quite interesting because you spoke about being more of a quiet person. And a lot of times people feel that if they are introverted, they won't necessarily be in leadership positions, or they won't necessarily be the person that's standing on a stage with a mic in front of them. And I think that that's a misconception that people often have. How are you able to navigate leading others and yourself while still being more of an introverted personality?
Leading people is not easy.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Managing people is not easy. It's very difficult, Hetty. I mean, I had to go through the process with mentorship.
Yes.
So I had a beautiful mentor by the name of Sbusiso Leope, also known as DJ Sbu.
Yes.
Incredible entrepreneur. So I had to, keep quiet. You speak about keeping quiet. I had to keep quiet and just learn. And serve at the same time, because sometimes talking too much doesn't help. So you just need to help. You just need to keep quiet and just watch and learn. So they always say, like I said, speaking too much doesn't help. You just have to keep quiet and just listen more. So I trained myself to listen more, to watch and learn and serve. That's what I did.
Yeah, it's very few people who can get into a space and understand that there's many things that are caught. They are not taught. And if you want to catch something, sometimes you need to be quiet. So it's good that you managed to get that. Okay, cool, man. So, let's take it forward from there. Then what were your interests after school? What was your thinking?
So after matric, I wanted to study IT because obviously I was into computers, and most of my family members, my uncles, they were, working for IT companies. So sometimes I would go to them during the holidays and just, to see where they work. And then I got interested in that. So after matric, obviously, I went ahead and I studied IT. So when I was studying my first year in studying IT, I needed a job because obviously it was very difficult at home. I'm being raised by a single mother. So I needed to find a way. So I found myself in a media company. So this media company, they were having cameras and stuff, but they were also doing these promotions. It was a bigger company, promotion. So they had an app, right? So so everything just worked together for my good.
Okay.
Right? Whereby I'm in the media company, they're doing apps, they're also doing promotions. So I was promoting an app called Namola. I don't know if you guys know it. It's a safety app.
Okay.
So you click a button. If anything is happening to you, you just click a button and then they're going to call you back. They're working with emergency services and stuff like that. So what I would do is that I would go to people and convince them to download the app.
Okay.
People that I don't know, working in Pretoria, going to UP, going to TUT.
People you don't know?
People that I don't know. Have to convince them to download the app.
So how would you get them to stop? Because they're going about their day. They don't know you.
So because of also it's sales, so I'm gonna get 5 rand per download.
Okay,
so
you get a commission.
Yeah, I get a commission from per download. So in a week I need to get over 250 downloads. So I go to class in the morning, maybe have 3 classes or 4 classes, and then I'm out. I need to make sure that people download the app so that every month I'm able to generate.
What I mean is a lot of people, some people, especially if they are more introverted, very shy to talk to people they don't know.
Yeah.
Introverted and things like that.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is that how would you be able to go to people that you don't know and start a conversation?
You must have the right attitude.
Okay.
Have the right attitude, have the right energy. You can't approach people with a negative attitude. You have to find a way to speak to them, study them. Sometimes when you see a person, you're like, oh, let me try and speak to them in a polite way. And sometimes people can be a bit difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you see that this person is pushing you away, or maybe you're making them a bit uncomfortable, it's okay. You can move on to the next person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually resonate a lot with that process because I find that when you go through that process of almost cold calling or cold approaching people, you learn so much about resilience. Some say no, some say yes, some are rude, some reject you, but it somehow teaches you to toughen your skin, but also it teaches you just about human behavior as well and how to connect with people. So I think that's a very good learning ground that, you can apply those lessons to all areas of your life. Tell me, how was that transition for you, though, from, studying into now getting into this working environment where you're kind of, hustling for yourself, getting these commissions, etc. Was it a tough juggling act?
It was not. At some point, yes, I would agree with you. It was a little bit, challenging because sometimes because of exams or so now I don't have money, but I have to balance because now my mother is paying for me at school.
Absolutely.
So now it becomes a thing of now I need to balance everything, now work and school at the same time. So just to move a little bit forward, at some point there was a lady who came from Cape Town and she saw me, she's like, this guy has the right attitude, right? So she told me that, look, do you see these cameras? Can I teach you so that you know how to use them?
Oh, look at that.
So I had to find a way to balance school. Now I've got promotions. At the same time, there's a lady here at this company, a manager who's willing to give me an opportunity. So it's a matter of trying to find a way to balance. And I was able to balance.
Yeah.
I was able to balance. It was not easy, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. I know it can be very, very difficult.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how did you then transition from, of course, then you studied, you did this balancing and juggling act.
Yeah.
What was then the next step in your journey?
So what happened is that this lady came in and she told me that there's an opportunity, and then she trained me. She didn't give me, I didn't get any, income from the training. So I needed to serve a couple of people in the media company. So I went ahead and I shot a couple of things with them. Then they had to trust me. They gave me some sort of like a contract. I was earning 4,000 rands. And the craziest thing, Hetty, Pops, is that when they gave me a contract, they said, we cannot trust you as yet to use the cameras. So you're going to use your phone. And I didn't understand that, like, you're going to go out there and become a citizen journalist using your phone. Wow. And we're going to pay you 4,000 rands. And for me, that was literally the introduction of content creation.
Yes, okay. Yes.
So then I went ahead to shoot with my phone. So I used the people that I used to go to school with, shot a couple of stories. At the time, I think there was a taxi and meter taxi war. So I had to go with my phone and just shoot them. What do you think of this? Put together. That was my first video that I edited. Put together
Incredible.
A story, and I sent it to her. She was so happy. She's like, "Look, I'm looking for more stories. Continue to do it."
Yes.
And I went ahead and I shot more, and I was making, instead of now doing the promotions. Now I'm getting at least 4,000 rands, and I'm able to buy groceries and stuff like that. So then I was struggling now at school, because I'm getting money now.
Yes.
It was very difficult. So now I'm falling in love. I'm falling out of love with IT. I'm falling in love with shooting.
Yes, and that
editing.
creative side.
And now I needed to make a decision.
Yeah.
What am I going to say to my mom? Because she's the one who's paying here.
Yeah.
It was so difficult, but we had the conversation, and I had to, and I would say this, kids, don't try this at home. Hetty, I had to drop out.
Sure.
I had to drop out, and I had to have faith in what I'm gonna do. So I continued to shoot, and at some point I shot something for DJ's Boo, who used to be my mentor. I've got multiple mentors at the time now. And he liked what I did for him, and then he called me and gave me an opportunity. He hired me, and then I got, I think, 3 times to what I was getting at the company.
Sure.
So it grew from there and there and there, and I've learned so much with the media industry, because now I had somebody close.
Yes.
Who has so much experience in the media industry, and he mentored me. He taught me about business, how to do things in the industry, and I grew from there and then until where I am now.
Now, what I want to check is that, so when I got to know you, initially it was through another podcast that you were shooting for a different bank, on behalf of your clients, and then also at the time you were also shooting for, I believe it's Super Sport and things like that. And I was quite taken aback by, your attention to detail, your professionalism, the equipment that you had, because I could tell quite closely that, okay, this is a young man who takes himself extremely serious. And then obviously, engaging with Hetty more, getting to understand that, you work quite a lot behind the scenes with a lot of these different podcasts that people get to see. And obviously they don't know that you're there in the background. My question is, where did that element of attention to detail come from? Was that through the mentoring process with DJ's Boo? Because we find a lot with different creators that we'll work with where time delivery, attention to detail, just taking themselves seriously, it's not often there. And it's what separates, those who get really, really great work from those who are just, hustling on the street.
Sure. That's actually so interesting. That's a good question. I think a lot of videographers and photographers, they don't take themselves serious. When I first bought my first camera, I think it was 4,000 rands. And I never thought of maybe going for a wedding, going to a party and just take pictures. I had to, with the mentorship of DJ's Boo and just seeing him with his business partners and how he navigates, the way he, handle himself in meetings. And sometimes I'll be there, like I said, I'll just be quiet and just look at this man, and I was like, okay, what do I have? I've got a camera. How do I put this skill that I'm learning from this man and put it in this videography, right? And there isn't anything different. And these guys, they don't understand. They think this industry of video shooting and all that, it's something that they just do. It's a freelance, business that you just shoot and then you just send. No, you can professionalize that, right? And also, in order for you to get clients, you just have to be professional, deliver on time. Because I can't spend 20 years pubs and becoming a videographer and I'm the person, everybody's just relying on me. So I need to expand at some point. So how do I expand? I need to find a way and get business mentorship. I need to understand how this business works. And that's where these guys are failing at. You can't spend 20 years, 15 years holding a camera and going to a wedding and a party. You need to find a way to expand. But you cannot do that without you having to pass business mentorship and understanding what business actually is. Absolutely. So that's when I learned that lesson, that's when I was able to get other clients and being able to know how to network with people, knowing when to talk and not when to talk. Sometimes I'm with an agency, I'm keeping quiet, and they are the ones that are speaking. And I know, like I spoke about the attitude, I've got the right attitude because sometimes, and I'm sure you guys have also met these guys, they don't have the right attitude. They don't communicate with you. Yeah. And that time you're like, I want to trust this person with this mega project, but I can't because of they're still there. Yeah. So sometimes you just have to be in the right position so that you can get all of these blessings.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tell me something. What is your attitude towards investing in equipment? The reason why I ask is because, I've worked with many videographers and photographers, and often at times I find that they're very talented, very good at what they do. They don't have enough equipment. And so they're often having to hire here and there, which is fine because obviously you build slowly. But I'm noticing a trend where when money does come in, other things are prioritized instead of reinvesting into the business. And one thing I found to be very impressive with you is that you constantly investing in equipment and getting the latest technology. Yeah. What is your attitude and your mindset towards that?
Sure. Yeah, the conversation of money, it's very, a bit tricky, you know. And I know that most of videographers, they don't take time and invest in the equipment. They're always renting. That's why when you guys send them quotation, the budget comes in a little bit high. I charge 5,000 rands, I charge 20,000 rands. So my attitude with investing in equipment is, man, like that's the first priority.
Yes.
That's the first priority because if I know this is where my daily bread comes from.
Yes.
If I don't invest in this, anything can happen. For example, if I run a company called Tino Media, as you've said, Pops, if you guys are doing the year-end function, I need to pay attention that, so Pops and Hetty might need my services. These are the lenses that I might potentially need.
Yes.
This is the location that they're going to shoot. I can't come with small lenses. So how about 6 months before, 4 months before, buy 2 lenses so that I can prepare for this, right? For example, now we just bought equipment for live streaming. And because one of our clients that we shoot podcasts with called us, can you guys do live streaming? And we were like, no, we don't do it. And I was because of it, I'm a businessman, I'm like, I'm just leaving money passing
On the
through.
table.
You understand?
Absolutely.
So I was like, man, what am I going to do? So I needed to call one of my service providers. Yo, can you rent me out, live stream kit? The money that the client paid us was less than what we have rented out the equipment.
Sure, look at that.
So now there's a decline, right? So I was like, okay, just for us to tap into the market of live streaming, let me just pay it. It's okay, right? And we had a successful live stream. It was a funeral, by the way. Then afterward, the following month, when we were getting a little bit of some money, I was like, you know what? The first thing that I'm going to do is to buy a live streaming kit. That's the first thing. So when it comes to my attitude with investing in equipment, is number one first priority on the list.
Yeah, and I guess, I can see that because, others might not know, they just hear on the community.
Yeah.
This guy's bloody expensive. This guy, and when I get and see the quotes and so on, we discuss and then we realize, but the way we've experienced him, he's going to be worth it, and he's investable. He's investable, and rather pay to get the job done, than to go, cheaper, and then you're chasing people,
fighting
and fighting. And then as we got to work with you and I got to understand as well, but it is true. Yeah. You really do work and produce for a lot of these podcasts. I can see why. You really, behind the scenes, when I heard, he's working with Supersport, I'm like, Supersport? Because compared to the people that we were engaging in, I was like, most of them wouldn't get anywhere near close. Yeah. So now we're trying to understand what's making Justice different to get this type of work and to work with all of these people that we see behind the scenes and all of these different banks and so on and so forth. And so that's the point where I was getting to see, okay, this makes sense. Yeah. Because you're charging because you understand that you are bringing a high level of value.
100%.
Absolutely.
And for a lot of our community that watch these, there's always that challenge in a pricing sense. Yeah. And it's a mindset issue in terms of understanding to price for value, because then you feel like, hey, but I'm going to lose business, but actually don't lose business. Yeah. When you price for the correct value, then you get the correct type of business.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if you've experienced that.
I have. Pricing for me was a little bit, tricky because I didn't know how to price my services. There's a gentleman called Mzwandile Ngubeni. He works at he actually, came in as a contractor by Nando South Africa. I worked with him through, his agency to produce work for Nando South Africa. So he's the one that helped me with pricing.
Okay.
So one time he called me, Jay, the CEO of a major bank, they want a video quickly. So the guy knew my abilities with shooting and editing, that I can turn things around quickly, right? So he saw that this guy, he doesn't take time to edit. He's quick. He can come in to shoot and he can stand there to edit and deliver on time or before time, right? Okay, send me your invoice. I send him my invoice. He's like, no. That's not how we charge, bro. So he's the one that helped me to, take it step by step in terms of price, and that when it comes to corporate, it's a different ball of game. Your people, your small people, at the time, they're not small, but at the time I was doing, parties and weddings, as I've said. So he's the one that helped me to look at this industry of me holding a camera in a different way.
Wow, look at that.
So then now when I see a camera, for example, there are guys in Mabonin taking pictures. When I see their camera, I'm like, I can take this camera and actually make 150K in a year.
Sure, look at that,
and so it's a mindset type of a thing, but speaking about pricing, he's the one that helped me with pricing, and I forever appreciate him a lot.
No, and it's been good. And I think the other thing that we've seen as well is just your rapid rise as well, as you've now gone to go and add another avenue and another link in terms of your podcast. This Justify. and it's grown quite significantly. At the time that we're recording, when we went to go and check, I think you just reached about 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yes.
Hey, well done. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well done. And how did you find going through that process? Because there's lots of guys coming out in South Africa with, podcasts and giving their voice and things. How did you find that experience growing with that avenue?
Yeah, there's a lot of podcasts. By the way, I actually invited Hetty on one of the episodes. It's on 12,000 views. That was an incredible episode.
Good, yeah?
A lot of 12,000 people actually watched the episode.
Wow, look at that.
That was so incredible. So there's a lot of people that have podcasts in the country and worldwide. And especially looking at, the audience in South Africa, there's a specific content that they like. And for me, what I did is that I had to sit down and think, because I've got so much experience in podcasting. I've shot, we've done Idiski TV, we've done the Ventim podcast. These are biggest podcasts in South Africa.
Yes.
We've done the Hustlers Corner with DJ's Boo. We've done multiple podcasts with major banks as well. So for me, I looked at their content and I saw the results as well, and I saw the results of my clients, and I was able to analyze that, this is what the audience they actually like. So for me, I was like, how do I find a way to be impactful without being controversial? So I was like, through telling people stories. But I cannot just tell anybody stories, because of people, they're not interested in just anyone's story. So I had to use my skill of editing and structuring the edit in a certain way, the look and feel. So this is production, post-production, and make the story to be interesting for an ordinary person in South Africa or worldwide. So I took that, I invited a normal person just to come and tell their story in terms of how they lost, 10 million or 5 million, and shot and uploaded, and it did well, And now Justify is on 100K subscribers with only 71 videos.
Wow, look at that.
Using the same format, And it's a global podcast.
Sure.
Number one country that watches Justify is South Africa. Number two is the United States. And then number three, it's the UK. So
what? Look at that.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing that, people all over the world, they are watching an ordinary person coming from Kwamashu, Hammanskraal, Val, just telling their story. And I'm so happy that I was able to tell people stories. So yeah, through the podcast.
It's interesting, the whole podcasting space, because it's growing.
Yeah.
It's really mushrooming. There's a lot of podcasts that are out there. Based on your experience working with different podcasts and having a successful podcast of your own, what do you think is that secret sauce to longevity and success with podcasting?
Just be consistent. Be consistent. I mean, like the other day we were talking about the gym with how you are consistent, and I spoke about the podcast, how I was consistent. So consistency will always show results. If you're not consistent, you're not going to see any results. So this is what I always say to my clients, that look, you need to be consistent. If you're going to shoot this week and then you're not going to shoot next week and then the other week you are shooting. So YouTube has its own algorithm.
Yes.
Right? If you are consistent, it keeps on pushing the content to a certain audience. If you are becoming more consistent, it just pushes more content to other audience. That's why Justify was able to, become as big as it is now. So consistency is the key.
Absolutely.
Consistency is the key.
No, definitely. I find that as well, that sometimes people just kind of give up a bit too early.
Yeah.
And it can be demoralizing when you put something out there, you don't get the views that you're hoping to get or the response that you're looking to get. But just kind of persevering and continuing to push, I think, is important. What do you say, Justice, to that person who's watching that wants to start a podcast? Maybe they can't afford a production team and big fancy lights and all of those different things. Should they start anyway, or should they wait to acquire the necessary equipment before starting?
Yeah, it's a lot of people, I think they need to be clear why they are starting podcasts.
Yeah.
In the beginning, because some people, they just do it and then at some point they give up because they didn't have a proper plan why they want to do this. So I think before you start, just have a proper plan that I want to do this because of I want to achieve this and this. But if it comes to the equipment and you having to be consistent, because you can't be consistent without, shooting. You need to have resources, the mics, the cameras. Just start with your phone. Start with your phone, buy a small mic, 100 and something mic, and just record using your phone. There's a guy called Richie B. If you search him on YouTube, he shoots with his phone. He actually has 2 phones at the moment. One, it's a wide angle with him and the host, and then the other phone shoots, the guests. So he uses cheap mics, and I think he's on 100K subscribers just using his phone.
Oh wow, look at that.
And from there, you can generate income from YouTube. And then you can invest back as your first priority, as I've spoken.
Yes.
Back into the equipment so that you can grow and grow. The production will grow so that you can buy better mics. And then at some point, yes, you'll be able to monetize your channel, not only with AdSense only, but with other sponsors coming in because they see the potential and the growth of your channel.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one of the ways that people often struggle to actually monetize their podcast.
Yeah.
How easy or difficult is it to do that?
You actually have to monetize your channel. It's not so difficult. Besides monetizing it using other, external, clients or agencies that want to put money into your podcast, you just have to start with AdSense.
Yes.
So YouTube, you have to shoot and then get 1,000 subscribers. Excuse me. 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hour. That's when you'll be able to monetize on YouTube. So every time when you go to YouTube and you are seeing these ads playing on people's channels, there's actually a back end process to that.
Yes.
So get 1,000 subscribers at a 4,000 watch hour, then you'll be able to monetize. You need to register and then wait for maybe 4 weeks for you to get some sort of a code from YouTube.
Yes.
And then put it onto your AdSense, and then from there you'll be good to go. YouTube is straightforward. There isn't, it's an automated boss, basically.
Yes.
You're not going to get your money late on the 25th, on the 21st, actually. I think today is the 21st, right? They always send an email that we've sent money into your account every month.
Consistently.
And I've grown so much that my podcast was able to, to act as a cash injection onto my business.
Wow, look at that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I was able to buy equipment. I was able to find a space where I can rent out and shoot other podcasts as well.
Sure.
Using my podcast revenue.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. That really is, and it actually answers a question that I had, because a lot of people wonder, is the AdSense enough? Can it actually be able to cover my cost if maybe the money is coming from your own pocket initially, just to kind of self-fund, and then over time for it to actually be able to pay for itself. So I think playing that long game and being consistent is actually then the secret to really being able to make it. As a person that's really deep into the podcasting space, where do you see the future of podcasting? And even within the South African context, because you've got this unique vantage point of being in front and behind the camera and working with so many different people. Do you see it continuing to grow and grow? Do you think it's something that could get saturated? How do you see it growing?
I think it's going to grow because it's the new way of delivering a message.
Yeah.
Because I've been checking a couple of statistics, I think last week on mainstream media. It keeps on declining. And my question is where are these people going?
Yeah.
If people no longer watch TV, where are they going?
Because they need the entertainment.
You see now. So they go into these podcasts and YouTube, and now there'll be a demand more and more. And that's the reason why FNV, they were like, you know what, we need to do a podcast, because they were able to analyze that this is a great way of delivering a message. People are no longer interested in the traditional way of doing a show.
Yes.
We need to put mics there so that people are able to listen to. I mean, you guys watch podcasts. There's no way you guys don't watch podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the next 20 years or 30 years, it's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of money circulating through podcasts. It's going to probably be, a billion dollar industry. Already is, maybe $100 million industry. But in the next 20 years, it will be more than $1 billion industry. It's going to be incredible. So if somebody hasn't started a podcast, they can go ahead and start a podcast.
Absolutely.
Using what they have.
And then I think just as we look to close up, our community, a lot of entrepreneurs, like yourself, what type of, what message would you like to leave for them as they're looking and growing their business or looking to start their business?
I actually want to talk about podcasting, just quickly, perhaps, that if somebody's looking to have some sort of like a side job, I think we're living in a world now that you don't have to work too much, man, to have a side hustle,
Yes.
You can start a podcast and monetize the podcast so that you can be able to put some money in your pocket. Like I said, I was able to, fund my business using my podcast. Wow. And now there's external, I'm able to monetize it not only with AdSense, but also with external, sources whereby people come in and they're like, we want to put money into your podcast. We want to buy advertising space.
Wow.
10 seconds. It's not even a lot, They pay. We would send, this is my secret with my manager. We would charge them a certain fee for just 5 seconds. And we know that even that 5 seconds, the money that they're going to pay us, we would sometimes struggle to get it. But because we have this audience, that we have built, we can actually monetize that audience. But when it comes to business can be a little bit tricky sometimes, but you just have to have faith, It's not easy. You just have to follow the principles of business. If at some point, yes, you experience a couple of challenges here and there, but just keep on going. It will all make sense at the end. Even me, when I started my business, I didn't know what I was doing, but because of mentorship and meeting a couple of people, networking with people, then I was able to find my navigation right, and then I took it, and then good. Now I'm doing very well.
Cool.
So,
Good. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I think, very, very inspiring just to think about the different ways that you can navigate. And what you're saying reminds me of something that Gary Vee has actually been saying for so many years.
Yeah.
Everybody should have a podcast.
100%.
Even if you've got a grocery store, you must have a podcast. Even if you're selling paint, you should have a podcast. Because basically it's a medium of having conversation and connecting with your audience. And that's the way we should see it. And sometimes if we make it larger than life, then it's going to be too overwhelming and too consuming for you to engage in. But everybody should have a podcast because we should all be having conversation. Can you round off by maybe telling us a little bit about your favorite podcasts? Which ones do you listen to maybe for entertainment? Which ones do you listen to for personal growth and development? Which ones are you listening to maybe for just that spiritual enlightenment and fueling your energy? What do you listen to?
I'm actually inspired by The Diary of a CEO, by Stephen Bartlett. I liked how he, conduct his interviews and actually Justify is inspired from, his podcast. So I had to find a way that how do I take this and find a way to make it make sense to the South African audience, right? Without having to talk too much, because you see how he speaks. He doesn't talk a lot. He gets experts and stuff like that. So I also do the same thing, I would just keep quiet and then the person would just freely speak. Because sometimes when you go on a platform, you get to be a little bit nervous, but when people get to be themselves, they get to speak about so many things.
True.
And the best thing about a podcast is that people are able to be true to themselves. They're able to share their true stories that, they were rejected by mainstream media.
Of course.
So, I don't know if I answered your question.
Absolutely. That's a very good answer. Thank you so much, Justice. Papa, what have been your key nuggets and takeaways from this conversation today?
I think it's just a reminder about just the importance of two things.
Yeah.
Number one, which is in whatever business or vocation that you're busy with, having the right attitude.
Yes.
Your situation is what it is.
Yeah.
And the only person really who can change it is yourself. And if you have the right attitude about it, it goes a long, long way. And then the second thing also is, because then it leads from attitudes, just the power of mentorship.
Yes.
Throughout your story as you're weaving, because like I said, just the amount of creators that we've dealt with and just the vast difference between the way that you handle yourself. That's why you're able to charge what you do. Justice runs our podcast, by the way. We pay him a pretty penny. Yeah. But you can always book him, very professional, as we've discussed. But also just the power of mentorship. Because, the mentors that were around you, really guided you and influenced you to set yourself apart. And it's an important gift that you received, but also more than that, the attitude with which you had really allowed it to be applied in a way that can really move your life forward.
Absolutely. I think my key takeaways are quite similar. I can imagine that at the time when you decided to go more of the creative route with the videography, etc., you were on a particular trajectory. And obviously your family supported that IT trajectory. Now to take that leap of faith and say, let me do this thing. I don't know how it's going to end up, but I think that I can do this. And then marrying your passion with consistency, with dedication, with discipline, with investing back into your own business, and then also seeking mentorship. That is the recipe for success, you know? And so I think that this is such a wonderful good news story for any young person or anyone who's feeling a little bit stuck, to say that there are so many different avenues that we can take to actually be able to make it in life. But those key ingredients are so important. And if we can just remember that, then definitely success would end up being inevitable. So thank you so much, Justice.
Thank you.
I think you've definitely inspired both of us. And what an honor and a privilege for us to be working with you as well. It's very refreshing to work with young people that are as professional as yourself.
Thank you.
Monetizers, I really hope that you've enjoyed this conversation. I hope you've enjoyed some of the tips, especially for podcasting. A lot of you do ask about, how do I get started with a podcast? How do I make my podcast grow? And we've learned some really great nuggets in this conversation. Let us know what really stood out for you the most. Leave a comment within the comment section. And of course, we'll leave Justice details for his podcast, Justify, in the comment section. Contact details as well if you would like to get in touch with him. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Monetize Your Business podcast conversations in partnership with FNB. Until the next episode.
Cheers,
Bye-bye
guys.
for now.
Bye.
So we've heard all about mentorship, but are you looking for a physical platform that you can plug into? Well, I've got good news for you. Monetize Your Business workshops in partnership with FNB have been designed exactly for you. If you are an entrepreneur based within the township, then we are coming to you. Monetize Your Business workshops are a fantastic platform where you can get access to masterclasses, fireside chats, networking, and you can also pitch your business for an amazing cash prize, a good boost into your business to help you grow and scale your business. You also have an opportunity to exhibit your products and services to a buying customer base and audience. So if this is something that you're interested in, hurry right now, run, don't walk, to www.monetizeyourbusiness.co.za.